Besa Baab wa world where Mefeskadus Adu Amlak Amin. Besa Baab where world where Mefeskadus Adu Amlak Amin. Besa Baab where world where Mefeskadus Adu Amlak Amin. Good morning, blessings and love. Hope those of you in the UK, particularly Southwest, survived the storms okay. It's been a bit epic out there last night and yesterday. So yeah, hope everyone's keeping safe. So straight in with the reading, Exodus 21. Give thanks. Now these are the ordinances which you shall be set before them. If you buy a Hebrew servant, you shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free without paying anything. If he comes in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he is married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons and daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. But if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to God, and shall bring him to the door of the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. If a man sells his daughter to be a female servant, she shall not go out as a male servants do. If she doesn't please her master, who has married her to himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt deceitfully with her. If he marries her to his son, he shall deal with her as a daughter. And if he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital rights. If he doesn't do these things for her, she may go free without paying any money. One who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death, but not if it's unintentional. But God allows it to happen. Then I will appoint you a place where he shall be free. If a man schemes and comes presumptuously on his neighbor to kill him, he shall take him for my altar, that he may die. Anyone who attacks his father or his mother shall purely be put to death. Anyone who kidnaps someone or sells him, or he is found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Anyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. If men quarrel, and one strikes the others with a stone or with his fist, and he doesn't die, but is confined to bed, if he rises again and walks around with his staff, then he has struck him shall be cleared. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall provide for his healing until he is thoroughly healed. If a man strikes his servant or his maid with a rod, and he dies under his hand, the man shall surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if his servant gets up after a day or two, he shall not be punished, for the servant is his property. If men fight and hurt a pregnant woman so that she gives birth prematurely, yet no harm follows, he shall surely be fined as much as the woman's husband demands and the judges allow. If any harm follows, then you must take life for life, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, and a foot for a foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, and bruise for bruise. If a man strikes his servant's eye or his maid's eye and destroys it, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. If he strikes out his male servant's tooth for his female servant's tooth, or his female servant's tooth, then he shall let the servant go free for the tooth's sake. If a bull galls a man or a woman to death, the bull shall surely be stoned, and its meat shall not be eaten. But the owner of the bull shall not be held responsible. But if the bull has a habit of gorging in the past, this has been testified to its owner, and he has not kept it in, but it has killed a man or a woman, the bull shall be stoned, and the owner shall also be put to death. If a ransom is imposed on him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is imposed. Whether it has gorged a son or gorged a daughter, according to the judgment, it shall be done to him. If the bull gores a male servant or a female servant, 3 shekels of silver shall be given to the master, and the ox shall be stoned. If a man opens a pit, or if a man digs a pit and does not cover it, and a bull or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make it good. He shall give money to its owner, and the dead animal shall be his. If man's bull injures another, and so it dies, then they shall sell the live bull and divide its price, and they shall also divide the dead animal. Or if it is known that the bull was in the habit of gorging in the past, and its owner has not kept it in, he shall surely pay bull for bull, and the dead animal shall be his own. Give thanks, blessed love. So yeah, quite a detailed reading there of kind of rules to live by, rules that govern the community, and starting to decipher, right from wrong, or justice. If you do this, then this is happening. If you do this, this is happening. So it's looking at the consequences. We've already seen in Genesis how murder was punishable by death, and even murder which was in in retaliation, in revenge of something, that's also frowned upon. So violence of any form, but when it seemed to be, it does talk here about an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a burn for a burn, etc. So it sounds very strict justice, but it's actually trying to find the balance of things. There's certain things in here that today make us wince and go, really? Is that appropriate? But this is that time, and this is how we know that over time, we got this word progressive, where society gets more progressive over time. And, sometimes people see the benefits of that, and other times people see progressive rules changes as a detriment to society. But I think a happy medium. We can see what's going on in Afghanistan, for example, and how Afghanistan have basically waged war against half its population, against the women, and it's horrific to see, quite frankly. I can't even imagine anything worse, and the fact that that's being allowed to happen is actually unthinkable. When I'm reading this, and I'm actually seeing there is justice for women as well as men. If a pregnant woman gets injured, then the perpetrator has to seek justice, whether the baby's unborn, whether the unborn baby is injured or not. There's different consequences. And we hear about daughters, that if a daughter is struck or injured, then the same justice to the perpetrators meted out to them is not just if a son has been injured. So we are seeing some equality of justice between men and women, but we are also hearing different other details about if a daughter is sold into servitude by the father, but also if a son is sold into servitude. It's not only women that went into servitude. It does talk here about servants and what we'd call today slavery, but it's very different. I think when we hear the word slavery, we often think about transatlantic slavery, but it's a very different thing. And that's why I think people that are scholars of transatlantic slavery actually want to use a different word, because the word slavery doesn't do it. We hear the word slavery in lots of different iterations, but transatlantic slavery, it was a very particular thing. So every time we hear the word slavery, we have to be careful to not equate it with the same phenomenon, really. So yeah, very detailed. Obviously, there's too many laws in here to pick up on one by one. But in broad, what we're seeing is God starting to establish the nation. It's nation building. It's you are a community of people, and you have one God. You have an identity which can be traced back to Abraham. And what it means now, you've got these 10 laws, the 10 commandments to live by, but then we've got these other subsidiary laws which govern how you should be operating as a society for a just community when you're treating each other in a respectful manner. And in a way, it's kind of preemptive. I think a lot of the reasons why some these laws sound strict. It's a deterrent. Don't do this, otherwise. So it's rule making as a deterrent, not necessarily expect them to put them into practice. And I think this is why over time, some laws have had to become refined, and that, again, that word progressive, because they realised actually there's a certain thing that happens too much, and we can't keep stoning people to death if they're dishonouring their mother and father, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like that might sound like a deterrent to a child, but in practice, it's kind of unworkable, and that's why laws do get refined. And getting back to a biblical context, Jesus came as a new law to fulfill the law. But scholars of the New Testament particularly would say that Jesus supplanted some of these old laws, and this is why the Old Testament gets represented in a kind of strict manner, whereas the New Testament is representing in a kind of a care manner, if you like, to put it broadly. So yeah, really interesting. There's so many things that can be talked about with this chapter. So I'm just kind of sprinkling on some thoughts on top, but there's so much that could be picked out, really. So give thanks, blessed love, give thanks for the opportunity, and I just give thanks to God that I'm able to do this, to be in a position to be able to read, to be able to open my mouth and for sounds to come out. Do you know what I mean? Don't take any of this lightly. So I give thanks as your humble servant, and have a blessed day. Malcolm Ken, and God willing, more tomorrow. Give thanks.